Good afternoon, everybody. It's Friday, 12:30. That means we're here live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook with People2people Live. My name's Mark Smith. I am Group Managing Director of People2people in Australia and Frog Recruitment in New Zealand. And today we'll be talking about the jobs and employment market in Australia. And it's a jam-packed broadcast. We've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, some confliction in the market with unemployment numbers coming out yesterday, and yet our lived experience is very different. So there's heaps to talk about. But before we do that, Australia won the cricket last night, and I'm a bit of a cricket fan. So here's the winning runs, and thanks to there's a cricket cricket fan from India who I stole this photo from his Twitter account. So it was great to see that it was a bit of a surprise result for Australia to actually win that. Win that actual game. But then that means we face our perennial enemy in rugby and in cricket, New Zealand, in the final. So maybe we'll have this sort of moment. Yeah. Now, Jacob, the man behind the scenes, he's actually a Kiwi. He's shaking his head. You can't see that. But yeah, I remember that vividly. It was an important moment in New Zealand cricket history, not so much Australia, I think. Anyway, let's move on. So we're actually here today to talk about the jobs and employment market in Australia. So what we'll do is we'll cover off our usual numbers section. And as I said, the unemployment numbers came out yesterday, and there was a surprise lift. So we'll talk through that. Then we'll be crossing to Ben Wheeler in Brisbane, where we'll be talking about the Queensland market specifically. And there's a recent article, I think, in the Courier Mail or the Brisbane Times up there about wage increases falling behind, and that's certainly not our lived experience, so we'll be chatting to Ben about that. Then we'll be crossing to Alia from the temp team in Sydney, where the temp market is back in Sydney with now that lockdowns are easing. There's plenty of temp work, and she's got a multitude of vacancies that she wants to talk to us about. I'll then have Fill Job Friday, 3 immediate vacancies that we need to fill this afternoon. So we'll tell you about that. Then we'll have our regular Twitter poll, where last week we asked, are you planning to resume travel? So let's see what the Twitterverse says about that. Stay tuned. So let's get into this week's numbers section. So numbers for this week. So the unemployment data came out last week, and what you're seeing on the screen there is the graphical representation of the unemployment rate since October 2011. So you can see the large rise during COVID, then the dramatic drop, and this surprise increase this week. So the key statistics are the unemployment rate increased to 5.2%. The participation rate, and it's important, we'll have a look at the participation rate in a second, rate increased to 64.7%. That was quite a large increase of about 1.5%, I believe. The actual number of people employed decreased to 12.8 million. The employment to population ratio decreased to 61.3%. The underemployment rate, which is another graph I'll show you, increased to 9.5%. And the monthly hours worked also decreased. Now, so context here. This data is old. So it is data from the lockdown period for New South Wales and Victoria. So we would expect the unemployment rate to increase. I would be encouraging people to almost take this data with, I don't think that it is a trend. It is certainly a blip, and I would think that next month we would see the unemployment rate improve dramatically. Let's have a quick look at the participation rate, which is, I think, the next slide. So here it is here. So this is interesting because you can see the difference between, so the light blue line in the middle is all people in Australia. The top line is men, and the bottom line is women. I think it's interesting to see that the male participation rate still has not recovered to pre-pandemic levels, and it's like lower than where it was before the pandemic and for the last 10 years. But women, on the other hand, are still not at pre-pandemic levels, but have recovered a little bit more so. So that was interesting. The reason I wanted to show the participation rate was because the kick up at the end, that last little tick, although it seems small in the context of the graph, does play a big part in the overall unemployment rate if more people are looking for work. So if we could show the next graph, please, Jacob, which is the underemployment rate. And you can see that, again, men dark blue, women in orange, and the overall in light blue. And I thought that was the difference between men and women here again, is that the underemployment rate for women did not increase last month, but it did for men quite dramatically. And the numbers that we're looking at here are about 9.5% unemployment. Some pundits would say that this is the actual unemployment rate. It's people who are looking for work or who are working and would like more hours. So it's interesting to see that bump up at the end. The last slide I've got for you is a state-by-state analysis of the release yesterday. And I would encourage, if you want more detail, you can quickly go to the ABS. This information is available there. And I've highlighted at the bottom there. It's probably very hard for you to see if you're looking at this on a phone. That yellow line is the participation rate. And it's across the country. It's very, very different, and it sort of represents the differences with the lockdowns and the scarcity of labour, etc. The participation rate in the Northern Territory is 72.6%, then followed by Western Australia at 68.4%, then Queensland at 66.2%, and we drop down to where I'm standing right now in New South Wales at 62.6%. So there's a big difference. A solid 10% of the whole population is participating in the workforce in Northern Territory, more than what they're participating here in New South Wales. And it's even a solid 4% more in Queensland. So those participation rates do play out in the unemployment rate, which is in the middle there, 5.4% in New South Wales, 5.6 in Victoria. Remember, these are the states in lockdown when this data was collected. In Queensland, where we'll be chatting to Ben, 5.1%. WA, 3.9% alongside the Northern Territory. So the ability to hire talent in WA is restricted for sure. Okay, so some interesting numbers released yesterday. If we get a chance over the next couple of weeks, we'll delve more into that data to see how that plays out. So what we'll do now is we'll cross to Queensland. We'll have a chat to Ben Wheeler, about the Queensland market. To get us there, though, we have Catherine from Melbourne, who has a marketing coordinator role to talk to us about. If you wanted to roll that video, Jacob.
Hi, this is Catherine Derbyshire from People2People Recruitment. Today, I'm reaching out about a marketing opportunity with a growing footwear retailer in Melbourne's Inner East. I am looking for an up-and-coming marketing coordinator to work in a fun, lively, and fast-paced environment with a fantastic team culture. This role would see you develop and implement marketing strategies, drive engagement through social media activity, and maintain a highly effective e-commerce platform. This role is paying up to $70K plus super, so if you have a passion for marketing and graphic design, this could be the job for you. Please give me a call and apply now.
G'day, Ben.
G'day. Good morning, good afternoon. It's obviously morning, good afternoon for a lot of people.
Yes,
so thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's still an hour difference, isn't it? That's the thing. So, and how's the? So obviously we had that job in Victoria there. How's the market in Queensland?
So in Queensland, we've had a remarkable change in the number of roles that have come through. So we've been noticing that the roles that we're taking, so people, actually employers calling us to assist them, has been at levels that I haven't seen for at least 10 years. So we typically average a certain amount of roles, and it's just gone really quite strong. So it is a bit of a disconnect, you're saying, around what you see in the unemployment rate when you see that the number of roles that we've been asked to recruit for, and we're seeing that last week, this week, is at levels that I haven't seen in 10 years. So there's a lot of employers, from what we can see, that are looking for staff.
Wow. Okay. Now, I should have mentioned before that we can see the comments on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn, so live. And so Carolina, so good afternoon or good morning if you're in Queensland. So clearly you must be in a part of the world that is the afternoon, so New South Wales or maybe New Zealand. So thanks for joining us today. If you do have any questions for myself or Ben or any of the anyone else on the broadcast, then pop them in the comments there, and we can grab them straight away. So now I also wanted to quickly chat to you about pay rises, Ben, because I saw an article in the Brisbane Times with which hopefully Jacob has got, and he can pop into the comments there, saying that that wages are not keeping up with inflation in Queensland. What's your lived experience of that, like on the front line right now?
So it would be very similar to unemployment rates. So the lived experience is that, and obviously the roles that we typically see, somebody's moving a position, so obviously they get a pay rise typically for doing that. But supply demand issues at the moment mean that we have seen significant upward pressure on salaries. So even for people that aren't changing a role necessarily, they're aware that there's an increase in the number of roles. And if, just to give you an idea, Seek have again, for the second time, broken their record for the most number of jobs listed ever. So there's the most number of jobs. So if there's just that many jobs, and the number of applications relative to that is almost at the lowest point, the supply demand means there's a lot of pressure for salaries to be increasing. So I would say that I'm seeing quite a lot of pressure on salaries actually to go up.
Right.
So
okay.
So
inflation, I think the article said that inflation's around like 2.1%, etc. So if we've got somebody watching from Brisbane and they're about to go into their pay rise or annual review, what do you reckon they should say?
I think that we've got the Great Resignation. People heard of that term coming up. So it's in particular it's an annual. So we're looking at getting salaries for the new year. I would say to people that have a look at what's happening in the market. Don't just rely on the stats. Speak to a recruiter. We're not just getting stats at a month old. We're in it right now. And if there's ever a time to look at things like salary or even your career, then it's now. So I would say. Make sure you check on what's in the active roles that are there and coming through. But we would expect there's going to be some pay rises that are coming through. I don't think what the article says is going to be continuing as a great crisis, that the salaries aren't going to go up.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too that if you're having your review or you're thinking about resigning and it's all about money, ask for the pay rise first. Like that would be my advice to everybody. And then if they decline your pay rise, then go into the market and call somebody like us, and we can help you secure something else. There was I should actually. It sounds like I'm pitching our webinar that we've got coming up, and I know you're helping out with it, Ben. That we've got a webinar for job seekers in a couple of weeks' time, where we actually go through our market report for 2021. I think the registration is on the. Is popped up into the comments there. Thanks, Jacob. And where you get a chance to get a salary survey, so you can download a copy of all the relevant salaries for across Australia and New Zealand in the 10 market segments that we work in. So I'd encourage people to jump online, register for that. It's coming up shortly. Now, you've also got a job you want to talk to us about, Ben.
I do, yes. And this one, so we're looking at a January start, and of course that time of year that it's going to be realistic and particularly open to now that we do have a bit of a plan around interstate. So this role is with a financial services organisation, billion-dollar organisation, and it's looking for a head of internal audit. So we are looking for a background in that financial services sector and experience obviously with APRA and so on. It's around a 200k package. The reason I mentioned state is because we are open to relocation, so up to 10,000 to do that. And given that Queensland has a relatively small financial services market, we've certainly been looking sort of further afield on that front. It's based in the city, and we are absolutely open to applications at the moment on the hunt. So if you did want to get in contact, I'm not sure if my details will be popping up, but you can either, give me a call or via the email, and happy to discuss.
Yeah, internal audit. I remember I used to do a lot of recruitment for auditors when I was in, this is bringing back a lot of memories, when I was in London, like back at 1999, 2000. That's 20 odd years ago. Wow. And we used to import auditors from New Zealand to London for that specific purpose. So I know it's a very niche sector. So if you are interested, please jump on the phone or drop a note to Ben, and he can talk more about it. And it's great to see that relocation in there as well. Righto. Well, thanks, Ben. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Well, I'll see you in a couple of weeks anyway on the webinar. Make sure you register for that. So now let's cross to Alia in our temporary team in Sydney. And the temp market is back, isn't it, Alia? Like there is work. Yeah, now the recovery is on its way. The lockdowns are over. There's plenty of temp work, and you've got a multitude of vacancies you want to talk to us about.
I definitely do, Mark. Yes, and it's just mirroring what you and Ben were talking about before, how there is such an increase in roles that are coming through for business support, both across Brooke, myself, Aidan and Maddie's desks, and in saying that as well, the hourly rates that candidates are asking for is also increasing as well in comparison to what we've previously done. So in terms of, I guess, the roles that I have, yes, I've got 7 customer service positions to start as soon as possible. Tier 1 support working for a financial services business, very well known. And these roles will be in office, so it will require candidates to be fully vaccinated. And they're going to start pretty much as soon as possible. Hourly rate that we're looking for this is going to be around the $33 to potentially that $35 mark. So trying to get that increase there. So yeah, immediately available. Previous experience.
And how long's the job for, Alia? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. What's the length of the assignment?
Yeah, so these roles are going to start at a 6-month commitment, but there is capacity for these individuals to stay on longer term and potentially move into permanent positions there.
Great. And so that's going to get you across that Christmas break where there's a little bit of a slowdown. No, although I don't actually think there's going to be a slowdown this year at all. I think it's just going to be rammed, plenty of work around. But if you are worried about that, then these 6-month length of assignments are fantastic. So
yeah, provide you with that security.
So and if somebody wanted to get in touch with you about it, I can see that it's in the comments, but if somebody wanted to ring you.
Yeah, definitely. Give me a buzz on my landline there. So 02-8270-9727. Or you can contact me via my email as well. Yeah, send me through your resume. Fantastic.
And so those 7 customer service roles are not the only jobs you're working on. I know you've got a lot more. What else would you like to let people know about before we move on?
I guess quite briefly, we've got a site administrator role. This will be working on site in Belmore location. It's working with a large construction business in one of their developments that's happening at the moment. So they're looking for someone to come on board, pretty much start as soon as possible up until towards the end of February, with the potential for that to extend up until, I believe, July. Competitive rates around, I think, the 34 mark for that one in particular. And then we've got, positions in marketing and events that are coming through as well. And I know that they're coming through and across in the permanent team as well. But really a big push for customer service is what we're starting to see in business support. So if you're in the market looking for call center work, definitely give us a call.
Yeah, if you're available immediately, jump on the phone. It changes hour by hour. I'm about to do Fill Job Friday. I've got 3 temp jobs in Brisbane that we need to fill. If you're in Sydney and you're looking for temp work or you're available immediately, make sure you jump on the phone to Alia. So, all right. Well, great to see you again, Alia. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you again soon. I'll let you go off and try and find those 7 customer service people.
Yes, please.
Right, we'll see you shortly. Okay, all right. So let's now go. Field Job Friday. We've got 3 jobs in Queensland that we need to fill. So let's jump into these. The first one I want to talk to you about is a medical kit assembler, and this is actually based in South Brisbane. $26 to $27 an hour. Start ASAP. We need people this afternoon. And the good thing about this job is that it is an entry-level position. So it would suit really a recent graduate or with an interest in medical technology. So it's less about the experience that you have and more about your attitude. So your ability to work under pressure, with strong initiative, excellent interpersonal skills, to be passionate and enthusiastic. Essentially what it is you're receiving, picking and packing and dispatching medical devices. It's an important role, and particularly now that elective surgery and everything is back. The second role is retail training consultant. This is $34 an hour. It's a temporary position. By the way, the role in South Brisbane is being managed by Jamie Taylor. Jamie's details will be in the link there. I can see that. This role is managed by Georgia in our Brisbane office as well. And this one is located in Queensland, but across various retail sites. So what they're really looking for is somebody who can work as part of a retail training team, where you'll be delivering training programs at sites across Queensland. So what you'll need to do is you need to have communication skills, previous experience in learning and development and training, facilitation, and a Queensland driver's license. So because you'll be driving around Queensland, you'll be working through until Christmas, with potential for additional work in the new year. But it's quite a flexible role. So retail training consultant is the second one. The third one is a customer service role. It's an engagement officer being managed by Georgia as well. This is call center type work, and it's based in Bowen Hills in Brisbane. And what we're looking for here is it's working for a registered training organisation in Bowen Hills. So we're looking for somebody who has the ability to elicit trust and build rapport. Is the most important thing. Motivated, hardworking, a great telephone manner. It's important. You've got to be reliable and punctual. This because of the importance of what this role is, and you've got to have some MS Office experience. So this is one where you've worked in customer service before, and you're looking for an immediate start. The length of the assignment is it's starting now. if you could call us this afternoon, we'll get you started. The length of the assignment is at least 6 months, but there is the possibility of permanent there as well. So plenty of opportunities for a medical kit assembler, a retail training consultant, customer service and engagement officer, all in Brisbane if you are looking for temp work in Queensland. Okay, all right, let's go. Finally, I'm conscious of time. 23 minutes, got a minute to go, and I've got to talk about our Twitter poll from last week, which was, would you resume travel now that the lockdowns are over, I should say. Yeah, interestingly, no, about 48%, half people going, no, thanks, I'll meet online. So it's not good news for Qantas, Jetstar, Virgin. With 48 people going, no, I don't want to be traveling around. 28% though, 28% said, yes, it's essential for me. And another 23% only for extended trips. So an interesting result there. The last one, or for this week, I should say, our poll is this. And this comes from an old work colleague of mine here who apparently has gone into a new remote role where he is monitored daily by his logins and the activity he undertakes on his machine. So would you be happy for your employer to monitor your activity when working remotely? Yes, no, as long as they tell me. Let's see what those results come out to be. So at people2people on Twitter, and you can vote on that. Now I can see Alia is waving her hands in the background because there's something. Alia, do you want to bring Jacob? Do you want to bring Alia back on? You've got something else you want to talk to us about?
Yes, I'm back. So just in the minutes that you're speaking there, Mark, I've got a sales role to start as soon as possible. So the client's wanting a short list by this afternoon. It's a 6-month assignment length, and it's going to be starting as soon as possible. It's going to be in-office role. So again, fully vaccinated for this position. And same organisation as the one that I previously spoke about, that financial services business. So I believe we're
CBD based. Is that where they're based?
Yeah. So CBD based, and I think we're going to be looking at a rate of about $35 per hour for this one. So I would encourage working holiday visas to apply for these. For that capacity of that 6 months.
Yeah, great, perfect. Yeah. All right, I know that we won't have a link to that job because it's just come in.
So
there's your contact details on the screen. So if you're interested in that one, please call Alia. Thanks, Alia. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
I'll let you get back to it. All right, that's it, everybody. Thank you for joining us for P2P Live this Friday. 12:30 every Friday. We'll see you again next week. There is work everywhere. If you're looking for work, make sure you give us a call. Thanks. Bye.